Hello everybody, good morning. Ren Daniel here, beginning what I think is going to be a two-part series on low-level invasions. I know right now everybody's kind of focused on meta level and doing some different invasion ranges than this. I've been on the 80-90 bracket for a little while, so I wanted to do something a little bit different. Talk about low-level invasions, more specifically kind of some observational things. I did a dedicated video talking about low-level invasions. I think it was around rune level 60, but this was several patches ago. That was more detailed, talking about store seals, star seals, things like that. I'll link that video down below for anyone who wants to kind of get some details about how those can affect your build and playstyle and how to utilize them. But again, this is going to be a little bit more observational, talking about some of the things that you can come across in low-level invasions and just some things to know generally as you jump into them. Now, I know that a lot of this isn't going to be new to anybody who watches this channel. Most dedicated invaders or people who view invasion content have been invading for years. Some probably as far back as the original Demon Souls. More likely, though, a lot of people have been invading, or maybe just who are watching content like this have been invading since the start of Elden Ring or Dark Souls 3, with a couple people kind of sprinkled here and there. From Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, stuff like that. But we may even have gotten some people just from like Demon Souls Remake, which is pretty cool too. I got my start back in Dark Souls 3, but I know plenty of people who started far before that. My point is that a lot of people who watch this are experienced, so they know what to expect at low-level invasions. So I'm not really preaching or talking to those people. Now, that being said, if you have experience in low levels, maybe there's something you'll glean from this that you haven't picked up before. Or maybe you've done invasions for forever, but low level's never been really a range you wanted to participate in. Maybe this video will change your mind. Now, there are some things to know about low level invasions before you get into them. Obviously, just like everywhere else, overlevels are an issue. More so now because you're using far less stats and points to be able to combat them. You're getting a ton of activity though. I will say that since I started doing low level invasions, this is a level 35 character. I also created a level 22 character. I'll talk about him in the next video. I have been getting constant invasions all the time, but not all of them have actually included overlevels, which has been nice. A lot of times, more so than I expected, I'm just getting two players who are making their way through a level, and they're appropriately leveled, or almost appropriately leveled in both cases. Now, that being said, I will say I've noticed that the quality of player has improved a good bit since the start of Elden Ring, which just makes sense. The people who are playing through second, third, fourth, fifth playthroughs now 2 years after Elden Ring's release are rarely new players. I mean, sometimes they will be and you come across those, but more likely than not, these are veteran seasoned players who at least know how to fight PvE pretty well in this game, have fought invaders before, and know decently well tactics to handle them. Other times you're going to be playing people who are invaders themselves and know how to fight invaders because they are invaders. So you will come across pretty skilled players a good bit of the time, which is pretty fun. But you can build a character around these things, right? Even over levels you can deal with at level 35, level 22, if you bring the appropriate weapons to do so. So one thing that Dashing recommended a long time ago that still holds true today, if you have any weapon that has an Ash of War like Sacred Blade, I hate to say it, but Flaming Strike, you know, something like that, something that buffs your weapon and you already have a fire buff or a sacred buff on it, you get typically enough damage to actually put down an overleveled. So to have something like that on a build is pretty vital, it's pretty useful. You don't have to bring it out all the time against players, and a lot of times you're going to be fighting hosts that just like, that can kill them in like 3 or 4 hits. So if you don't want to do that, obviously you can just keep it in your back pocket to deal with annoying level 400 Vikes users, something like that, and it will generally work pretty well. Now that being said, obviously it's not going to work every time, and the amount of times you're going to lose to the 40th teabagging poise optimized halberd user you come across may trigger some people a little bit, especially towards the beginning. You just need to move past that. Low-level invasions are very fun. The areas you get to invade in are super fun. I got so used to invading in places like the Halug Tree, mountaintops of giants, anywhere late game that I got kind of bored of it. or at least for right now. And so I was like, oh man, I would love some fresh areas to invade. And if you do low levels, especially around this range, you'll be doing Liurnia, you'll be doing Limgrave, you'll be doing Stormveil Castle a ton, which I love doing Stormveil Castle in Invasion. So you'll get a bunch of areas that are really, really fun. Radio Lucaria, all these are really, really nice spots to do it. So that's another added incentive. Now, I was talking about over levels before and dealing with them at this level. But if you have a Star Seal and a Source Seal, you can utilize these in builds, especially at this level and range, to really give you a lot of extra points to flesh out a character that you don't have. Now, obviously, the caveat to that is the increased or decreased absorptions you have on your character. Now, a lot of people will find use for these on a build, and I recommend them a lot because even with overlevels, they're doing so much damage to you already that oftentimes getting the extra points is well worth it, even when you have to deal with something like that. If you're going to die to a build that's going to like two-shot you, Star Seals and Source Seals can necessarily make that worse. But I mean, by a degree that's, I mean, you're probably going to get two-shot, maybe three-shot anyway. Maybe you would be three-shot without them, but you would be two-shot with them. But you're getting so much out of it, sometimes it's worth it. You don't have to use them. Although I would highly recommend that you at least check them out to see if they could work on your build, because you could have some use for them. And if you want to use a weapon, or if you want to use some sort of like incantation or spell that's for a higher level character that you want to bring out of your back pocket, for a clutch moment, utilizing those, especially like Radians, to get your main stats out of the way, like your vigor, your endurance, some of the points you need to wield whatever weapon you want, you could have that, and it would work really well. That you could combine it with like your Sacred Flask, or your Wondrous Physic, to get the extra points you need. I think I did that with a character and got Death Lightning out of it. It was a little higher level than this, but you get my point. Occasionally too, the types of invasions you come across will be different. I really enjoy just fights where it's two people, they're both using melee weapons, like this mirror match build here that I have with this guy. Slightly different mirror match, but pretty close to the same mirror match, where you're just going back and forth in like a castle. Even if all the PvE is dead, you're utilizing the terrain to fight the group that you're invading, and again, it's just kind of mostly a melee battle, which is super fun. What's less fun is obviously coming into an invasion with a host or a phantom that's casting spells. Now, I don't have a problem with people casting spells inherently, but I think we all know and realize the type of player that will just run around 180 degrees behind somebody and cast spells at your back, like like Glintstone Pebble or whatever, while you're in a fight with their overlevel phantom, or just someone with a shield, can be pretty annoying. This guy right here is a mirror match with me. He's using what I'm assuming is Millicent's prosthesis, the Rotkin Talisman, because every time that I poison them, he's also getting a buff. He's using the Shodel, which I actually really like too, but I haven't had time to put on a build recently, even though I really, really like it. I think the R2s on them actually do a good bit more damage. This I like a little less. He pulls out the, I think, what are they, the Raptor's Talons, and I've been seeing those on YouTube a good bit, and that bleed build-up's pretty strong, but it kind of comes back to what I was saying before, holding on to something that's kind of a stronger option at low levels. So I guess I really can't hate on it too much. I think I'm trained inherently to dislike bleed, so I'm not a huge fan of it. But that being said, this is a super fun fight. A lot of the fights in this were pretty good. I haven't really talked about the build itself too much and why I was using it. You may have noticed, if you're a very, very big Souls nerd, all the tracks in the background are Dark Souls 2 tracks. The first one was the Looking Glass Knight, the second one was Mythos theme, and the third one was the Skeleton Lord's theme. A little bit, I made this, or started making this video a little bit after Halloween, so it's a bit late for a spooky video, but it will be my quote-unquote spooky video for the season. And I was like, okay, well, I want to make a theme character. At the start, obviously, you could see the Harvest Valley. You could see or hear Mythos Stream. The idea behind this character is he's called the Beguiled Knight. He came across, Mythos somehow in the, Harvest Valley in, I can't remember what the windmill itself is, whatever. And he became beguiled by her beauty, and she gave him a poison blade. It's a boss weapon, obviously. It's not the Warhawk Talon with poison mist on it. It's an actual boss weapon. And he brings her souls. And if you find that weird as a theme, I will remind you that there are space aliens in this game from other dimensions. So just kind of keep that in mind. Anyway, I wanted to utilize the character to utilize poison and practice parries, because I haven't really done a whole lot of parry attempts in a while. It's not really my playstyle that I really enjoy, but it's a playstyle that is really, really effective. And it's something I've needed to practice more for a while. It's a great way to get rid of hosts or phantoms and do a bunch of damage to people at the same time. And just one of those things in the Invader Toolkit that's very, very important that I would kind of say that everybody should at least know how to do roughly. So that was the idea and the theme behind this character, to utilize, parries and poison, which Fel refers to poison as the gentleman's infusion, and I've come to light, I completely agree. This poison has been a godsend. That was a smart heal right there. So, if you haven't played with poison, poison is really, really good too. Now, again, theme of the video, poison and parry attempts. Other theme of the video is to come out of your shell. I say this all the time. I am constantly trying out new things, mostly because I don't want to get bored in this game. I don't play the same character a lot. I've actually respect a lot of characters repeatedly to keep things fresh and interesting for me, and trying out new weapons, new incantations, new ways to do combos, things of that nature. And I found that is the best way to play this game. Now, that being said, do I wish sometimes I had dedicated invaders that I played with all the time? Yes, I would be way, way, way better with a lot of these characters if I just practiced them and knew their toolkits, consistently. Like Peeve has, his grumpy old man and his assassin. Saint has a couple of different characters, mostly sword and board stuff that he uses all the time. And when you really practice with these and you play that specific invader all the, I guess consistently, you get to know their toolkit very, very well. And in any situation, you can pull out, whatever, to deal with, whichever type of, party you come across. I don't really have that because I keep changing things up. Now, I do have weapons that I know will work for specific situations. So in every given build, I am bringing those weapons, or at least one or two of those, across different builds to actually be able to cope with, certain places and certain types of people. Now, that being said, though, one thing that I will say I would never have tried if I didn't keep trying to do different playstyles and test out different weapons. I would never have touched flails. Flails were of no interest to me. But one day I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make a dedicated flail build because I came across somebody who was using it in the arena who was a really good fight. And I would never have learned how good flails are if I had never ever tried it. They're a necessary toolkit for me in every situation now, and I think that they're very, very slept on. So anyway, that's kind of the whole video. Same thing as usual, just me rambling. But I hope that you have enjoyed it. I hope you've gotten something from it. And I hope you enjoyed this last little bit of hide and seek before the end of the video. Next one is going to be about a Rune level 22 invader I made, who's themed, so look forward to that. And I will see everybody in the next one. All right, peace on. Peace on. Peace on. Peace, everybody.